Hello, welcome to my class. Today, I am going to talk to you about unstructured data. You know about data, you know about data processing, you know the importance of data processing. Those days, we do data processing in papers or using our brain, or we use papers. Later, we use computers. Why we do data processing? Because we want information. Information should be easy for us to get. It should not be complicated. When we get the information, we can perform our daily activities or we can perform our business activities smoothly. When I started IT in 1985, right, we were using floppy disks to save our data. So if I want some information, I have to insert the floppy into the computer, right? And in a floppy, I may be saving my data in table form, similar to Excel, Lotus 1, 2, 3 or so. And it is made up of columns and rows, simple. So first column is for customer ID, second column for customer name, third column for customer address, and so on. So I may have a small database like that in the form of a table or Excel sheet, Lotus 1, 2, 3 sheet at that time. Then I may have another sheet like that. I may have multiple sheets. Later, the concept expanded. Something like database management software came, better database management software came, like Oracle database and so on. DBase 3, at that time before Oracle, DBase was there. DBase 3 came. Then DBase 3 was very popular. Then DBase 4 came. Then we used Clipper, all those things to manage data. So all these data were stored in the form of tables, which has definite structure. So first column for ID, second column for customer name, for example, or material name, material ID, and so on. So each column has definite values. It's very structured, very structured. Later, data started growing, right? So data was stored in multiple servers in an organization. At the beginning, it was saved in one server. So we get the data from that server. Then the data was stored in multiple servers. Maybe external data sources were there as well. Then from all these data sources, we have to gather the information what we want to gather. So first thing I have to do is I have to bring all these data into one place. So I have to have data warehouse. Earlier I had database. Now I am going to have a data warehouse. So data warehouse has information or data from different servers. So this data is not very organized, but some sort of organized, but related to each other, right? So from this data warehouse, I get my data, right? But currently the data is so big, people are dumping data. So when you have so much of items at home, you don't sort out properly. You may be throwing them in one corner or throwing them in the cupboard, right? If you have too many items to manage. Or if you have a cupboard where you had small boxes where you are sorting the items and keeping at the beginning. But later when you start getting a lot of items, and if your friends are bringing their items to store also, everybody is dumping items. So now the things become unstructured, not organized. Earlier, if I want to find something, I can quickly go and find. But now it's not that easy. So now the data is called big data. So big data normally consists of structured data, semi-structured data, and also unstructured data. So what is unstructured data? Unstructured data doesn't have the format what I talked about at the beginning. So I don't have definite columns and rows. So data is of any type. Say for example, for a video, how I can have a columns and rows. For example, log files, it cannot be fully structured. So there are many things like sound, like many items, many data types are not really structured. So these are unstructured data which don't have definite columns and rows. So this type of data has to be managed. So these data Now you can hear about something new called data lake. So data lakes have data coming from multiple sources and they are stored, and when we want to manipulate this data to get information, we will use this data. So the data is fresh data, raw data, but not manipulated. So we take out information from this data as and when we want, after modeling that or after using artificial intelligence or so on. When the data grows so big and becomes unstructured, and if there are bad things, but there are good things for some people. Data is produced by machines. So IoT machines produce a lot of data. So from the data, I can find out how I can improve my machines. Because whether the machines are performing good, what type of errors I am getting, and how I can correct, and next batch will be a better machine. Next production will be better if I correct it, right? So I can do those type of analysis with this big data gathered from the machines. When we have cameras in the aisles, when people do shopping, so from the shopping pattern, we know what items are selling fast. Google search, all those things, right? So we know what items can sell for people from this area and so on, right? So I can analyze data for my marketing purposes, for improvements, for healthcare and so on, using data science. So this is what we teach in our data science program. We have a data science program where we talk about machine learning and artificial intelligence. And also with big data, we want to get reports. The management wants to get reports. For example, data is in the data warehouse, but I want to get reports. But data came from many sources, and the data is in the business warehouse. So how can I get my information? I have to get the records what I have to gather, and the fields I wanted to gather, the columns I want to gather, and then I will join multiple tables and get the report what I want. For reporting, I use different reporting tools. Management may want something in a graphical form, in a quick, which is easy to understand for them. They don't have much time. But a normal accounting and other people want detailed reports. So we can gather all of them by using various, we can achieve all of them by using various tools in reporting. So we cover these things like modeling, reporting aspects, and also big data modeling using SAP S/4HANA, and also BW, SAP BW, SAP BOBI, and so on, in that particular program called Database Administration and Big Data Predictive Analytics. So we have a separate program for data science. We have another program for database and big data predictive analytics. In this program, the database part covers the legacy database application, what I mentioned at the beginning, and the big data part covers the modeling with big data, where we are talking about Hadoop also. So Hadoop is also used to manage big data. So these two programs are in very big demand, especially after COVID, when there's a lot of data over the network. A lot of data has gone to network. A lot of people work from home, right? So all these data can be gathered and may be used for business purposes, for development purposes, for marketing purposes, and so on. So by doing these diplomas, or any one of these diplomas, you are good to go in a good environment. You are good to go for a lucrative job.